Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to the channel. If you guys followed my channel for any period of time, you know I absolutely love making videos about topics within the MMA community that I feel like are getting little to no attention, and that's exactly what this video is going to be. It's going to be about Khabib Nurmagomedov's fight promotion, Eagle Fighting Championship, and some of the recent news that has come out, and I just think it is absolutely disgusting. And I feel like whether it be the MMA media or other people talking about MMA within YouTube, I feel like there's a certain fear that comes along with criticizing a fan favorite fighter. And it's just not really talked about. It's not really discussed. People turn a blind eye because they're worried about the backlash from the cult-like following of some of these fan favorite fighters or promoters, or even these larger organizations have these cult-like followings where even if you voice a legitimate criticism, you will receive all this type of backlash upon, voicing that criticism. So first off, before I get into any of it, and I made a video similar to this in the past covering some other details that I will recap within this video, but I am a massive Khabib Nurmagomedov fan. I'm not some Khabib hater. That's just not what it is. This is legitimate criticism that I believe is worthy of making a video about because I feel like it's not being talked about enough. So guys, do me a favor. If you enjoy videos like this, make sure to like the video. And if you're not subscribed, go and subscribe. So just to kind of recap what's going on in the past with Eagle Fighting Championship, let's talk about some of their notable signings. And one of their first signings that I saw was Rashad Evans. And Rashad Evans' last win was in November of 2013 over Chael Sonnen. And this was on the same card as GSP and Johnny Hendricks when GSP got that controversial decision to retain his welterweight title. Then he retired after the event. And the only reason I'm talking about that is to kind of give you guys a time frame of how long it's been since Rashad Evans has gotten a win. Since that card, he lost 5 straight fights and retired from the UFC. And now Eagle FC wants to exploit his name value, being a former UFC champion, and throw him into a fight just because hopefully it'll draw some eyes or whatever it may be. That is one of the first things that I saw with Eagle Fighting Championship that I think is disgusting. But the recent news is just absolutely horrifying. And before we get into that, let's briefly talk about they had a main event slotted for Antonio Bigfoot Silva versus Tyron Spong, which Bigfoot Silva has not won a fight since I believe 2013 as well. He's been KO'd like 174 times, and no legitimate athletic commission should be sanctioning Antonio Bigfoot Silva to fight Tyron Spong. And it's a topic for a whole nother video, but this raises the question about favorable matchmaking because we know Khabib Nurmagomedov's manager is Ali Abdelaziz with Dominance MMA. Tyron Spong is with Dominance MMA. And they're giving him a matchup like Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Come on now. That's just fishy. And I think it's disgusting to trot a guy out there who has been KO'd a million times. And now you want to put him against a guy like Tyron Spong, who's been kickboxing forever, has a couple MMA fights, and is just going to absolutely destroy him. And you're just doing it because Bigfoot Silva is a massive heavyweight and has some name value because he used to fight in the UFC. I just think it's disgusting. And on top of that, we all know Florida has the worst athletic commission, and Eagle Fighting Championship, conveniently enough, is going to Florida to hold their event because no legitimate athletic commission should sanction these types of fights. And, I talked about it in the previous video as well. Florida Athletic Commission sanctioned TRT Vitor versus 97-year-old Evander Holyfield. Obviously, I'm exaggerating about his age, but you get the point. That fight should not have been sanctioned. So the recent news that has come out, which I found absolutely horrifying, and I know some of you people probably watch this video will try to justify it, but I just really believe there is no justification for this potential matchup, which looks like it's going to happen, and I think it's absolutely disgusting. They announced they're looking to headline an event, and I can't believe I'm even saying this because when I initially saw this news, I thought somebody was trolling. They are going to do Diego Sanchez versus Kevin Lee. And I just could not believe this news when I saw it. First off, before I get into anything else, Diego Sanchez has been in the hospital for like 2 months. He just recently got out. So he's going to go from the hospital being severely ill in the hospital to within 3 months fighting in the main event of your organization just because Diego's a big name. I mean, I'm a huge Diego Sanchez fan. He has no business fighting Kevin Lee. And you look at Diego Sanchez's recent record, he has a couple wins. You know, he has 3 wins in his last, few fights. But let's talk about him a little bit. He has a win over Craig White. Okay, what does that really mean? He has a win over Mickey Gall. Okay, that's decent. He lost to Michael Chiesa. He has a win over Michel Pereira, but that means nothing because Michel Pereira was beating the crap out of him, and he threw an illegal knee and got DQ'd. And then he lost to Jake Matthews, and then the whole Joshua Fabia saga happened, and he was cut from the UFC. This guy, Diego Sanchez, I feel like he's taken so much damage. You know, they were talking about he was having mental issues, brain issues, memory issues, and, whether that was just Joshua Fabia's way of trying to end up in a lawsuit with the UFC and suck more money out of Diego Sanchez, that's a real possibility. But if you want to let Diego Sanchez fight, I believe there's some matchmaking you can find for him that is not Kevin Lee. They are trying to elevate Kevin Lee's name with a win over a UFC legend. Diego Sanchez, let me remind you, is 40 years old. Kevin Lee is 29. People were shocked when the UFC cut Kevin Lee because of his perceived skill level. He's just a guy that's never been super consistent. He lost his last fight to Daniel Rodriguez. Daniel Rodriguez stepped in on semi-short notice. Before that, he lost to Charles Oliveira, the current UFC lightweight champion. Before that, he had a beautiful win over Gregor Gillespie, who's ranked in the top 10 of the UFC lightweights right now. Before that, a loss to Rafael Dos Anjos at welterweight, I believe that was. So Kevin Lee, even though he's lost 4 out of his last 5 fights, he's been fighting legitimate competition, and it's not like he's been getting KO'd left and right. So for Khabib and Eagle Fighting Championship to say, let's book Diego Sanchez fresh out of a hospital stay of a, serious illness. You know what? Let's give him 12 weeks and let's match him up with Kevin Lee, a 29-year-old prospect that people were shocked was cut from the UFC. I think it's disgusting. I think there needs to be more fan backlash just based on this matchmaking alone. And I'm hoping Antonio Bigfoot Silva versus Tyron Spong was canceled. It was canceled. They got Tyron Spong, a different opponent. I believe it might have been because of some of the criticism they got for that matchmaking. I'm hoping there's enough backlash of this Diego Sanchez versus Kevin Lee matchup that fight is canceled as well, because I believe it's getting close to a point, and I know somebody's going to call me crazy for this. It is getting close to a point where Khabib Nurmagomedov is tarnishing his own legacy. And I know what you're saying. How can he tarnish his legacy? He's making fights. He's giving guys a living. He's putting on fights. What does that have anything to do with his legacy? I mean, I don't care, even though it's not him fighting in the cage, to make these types of freak show fights and just look to capitalize off a certain guy's name value because they were in the UFC and they're old and kind of washed up and they really shouldn't be fighting and they're getting KO'd quite a bit. I just believe it should tarnish him in some way. And I'm hoping that this comes to an end soon. I hope there's no more of these matchups, but I had to make a video criticizing it. You guys have to let me know in the comments what you think. I know I'm just a small channel, but I wanted to get this out there because I just really think this is disgusting. I do not want to see Diego Sanchez versus Kevin Lee. I hope none of you guys watch it. But I get it. Some of you guys are just going to tune in just because you want to see some fights. But if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.